Real Talk Radio and Warchant TV. Happy Libations Friday, everybody. If you're watching this, you should know we're not live. We're not live because there's a baseball game going on right now. Knock on wood, Florida State's playing really, really well. But we figured since a core of our audience, in fact, would be watching a lot of that baseball game in truth while we were doing the show, we would be watching a lot of that baseball game. It would be a mess and, all of that. So it's previously recorded. We decided, though, we did want fresh content. As always, when we can, we provide that. So don't forget to like and subscribe if you're watching on Warchant TV. And if you're listening on 93.3, thanks so much for doing that. Libations Friday. It will be some loosey-goosey moments, of course, as we're wont to do on a Libations Friday. So wherever you are, thanks so much for listening to us. We do appreciate it. And again, hopefully right now, Florida State's playing pretty good baseball. We shall see. The truth is, at the time that we're doing this, I don't know what to think about that regional at all. And I don't think anybody else does either. I do know this, as I say hello to Tom and Director Matthew in the house as well, that we talked quarterbacks the other day. And it's amazing, in this industry, in radio in general, I think it's true too now I'm learning in video. You're not always sure what's going to do well, what's going to hit with people. There are a few hot topics, and frankly, quarterback play at Florida State, quarterback play in general is a hot topic. If you watch the national shows, you'll see that when people start talking about quarterbacks, the arguments start, whether they're inflated or, enlarged to a degree that are unnecessary in an off season. That's, we all roll our eyes a little bit, right? But the truth is, it's because they see those numbers. And Tom and I were talking on the heels of me talking to David Hale and Andrea Adelson about quarterback play in the ACC. And it's probably Florida State fans' favorite topic right now. We saw the numbers that came from that and some of the responses, and it cracked me up. Not in a sarcastic or facetious way. I mean, people are really passionate about this. And I think the reason harkens back to something that we find ourselves talking about a lot is, A, the importance of this season, and also the fact that the coaching staff, Tom, and Mike Norvell in particular, he put his eggs in that basket. So the bottom line is Jordan Travis kind of is the whole thing, right? I mean, this season, we can get into debates about segment groups that are going to be better or worse, or who has to play well within any of those segment groups for that group to take a step forward. And we do have those discussions all the time because football is the ultimate team game and no one man can dictate terms. But the quarterback, if you're going to name a man, is the most important player on the field. And there's no doubt about that. And Jordan Travis has yet to become a star in this league. He's yet to become a guy that you would call, at least in my opinion, an upper echelon quarterback. But people think that he's primed and ready to be a special quarterback, to be an upper echelon quarterback in the ACC. And we found that out with the responses that were there when you and I went through every quarterback that we know is going to start, and even those we project to start at all the schools in the ACC, and we asked the question, where does Jordan Travis rank? And I don't know what responses you've looked at. I've looked at my Twitter feed. I've looked at Warchants. I know you looked at the YouTube feed, Tom. I think we were pretty close. You and I disagreed about a couple of guys' spots, and we both admitted, and I think most people out there do too, that, well, it's kind of a wait and see. Some people you could project would say that Jordan Travis is going to rise above a Jerkovich, for example, at Boston College. Yeah, I mean, that's not an unreasonable assumption, perhaps. Maybe not as a pro prospect, but as a quarterback in the ACC that does what his team needs to do to win games and overcome attributes of his team that are lacking, yeah, you can believe that Jordan Travis is going to surpass a Jerkovich. Then we got into the Armstrong kid at Virginia. Point is, everybody had an opinion on this, and I thought he fell somewhere in the neighborhood consensus of 6 or 7. It didn't look like it was much above that. There aren't too many people that think he's the second or third best quarterback. Nobody thinks he's the first best quarterback. And I don't think most reasonable people think he's going to be much better than a top 5 quarterback. I mean, if he is a top 5 quarterback, top 3 quarterback, Florida State is indeed, in all likelihood, going to win 8 games, wouldn't you say, if he ascends to that position? And I think that is the top end, right? That is probably the top end of where he can get is top 3 quarterback in the ACC. And if he does that, I think the Noles do win 8 games.
Yeah, I think, I was proud of us for getting through that discussion the other day and not mentioning his health and how we're presupposing that he's going to be healthy for the bulk of the games, if not all 12. But I think it's time to remind people that it's important that we're talking about a healthy Jordan Travis. It's been too long before we brought that up. So if you give me 12 games of Jordan Travis without being dinged up or limping or missing a couple of series and then coming back for a couple of series and doing that dance, then I think the consensus is rightly so that he should be an upper half in the league quarterback. 14 teams in the league. You're saying 6. That sounds about right. That feels about right. I would nitpick and put him up maybe 4 or 5 because I think he's in a tie. It's like a golf tournament leaderboards. Let's split the pot 3 ways to 4th. I think that's about where he is. And what I was surprised by, and forgive me, people, I didn't have faith in you. What I was surprised by is in a lot of these comments, especially on the YouTube feed, they're pretty reasonable. People had some issues, clearly there, as the kids used to say, stands for certain quarterbacks in this league, like a Brennan Armstrong or a Malik Cunningham. But most everybody was pretty well reasoned. And of course, there are also some Florida State fans who are saying that this is the best quarterback since Charlie. There are the fringes, but in the middle, the bulk of people were reasonably saying, yeah, if you put top 3 ability with his feet together with 8 to 10 with his arm, then you probably have a top half quarterback, and that's where most people fall. I think we all agree though that if he's healthy for 12 games, that this is going to be somebody who produces for this offense and gets you to those magic numbers you need on offense in terms of total output, that you're going to be in a position to win 8 or 9 games as long as you don't have a rash of injuries somewhere else and terrible turnover luck. If Jordan Travis is promised to you to play 12 games this season, I feel much better about setting the over-under on the win total at 7.5 than I do 6.5. But that's the hard thing. You can't assume that because it has not been that way to this point.
I was looking at one before we came on. Kev on Twitter responded to us in Warchant, and he ranked him out. He put the numbers and they put them in order, and he had Hartman 1, Leary 2, Van Dyke 3, Malik Cunningham 4, Armstrong 5, Travis 6. And then from there, you know who the other guys are in the league. And I was like, that seems reasonable. And then I started to scroll down and look at everybody's answers, and they were all kind of like you just said, Tom, pretty reasonable. One guy might have him ahead of Armstrong and below another guy that he had a Travis above, but I mean, like the bottom line is that did seem pretty reasonable. I asked this question because I think it's so important. It's obvious. You just got done talking about it. It's a way of defining the way we're going about the conversation. What worries me is we do not have evidence he can get through a season healthy. He has always been hurt, and he's always missed time in practice and preseason and camp. He's missed time in practice during the year off and on, nursing injuries and other ailments. And, of course, we've watched. How many times have you watched Jordan Travis get hit and get up with that limp shoulder? I mean, too many to count, right? Our last image of Jordan Travis is the game against Florida. And early in that game, he gets hit, and you're like, oh, boy, okay, here we go. And I'd like to believe that that's healed because that seemed like a chronic problem with the shoulder that he played through because he's tough as hell. And I give him credit for that they had to shoot up and he could get away with it. But if he fell on it, he really favored it. You saw that time and again. And it made me feel bad for him because that version of Jordan Travis isn't very good. All he has in that moment is his feet, and teams can game plan against it, and you're really in a lot of trouble. And so he's got to get through these games. That's an understatement. Everybody knows this. But for a guy that has been injured, oft injured, as they like to say in the biz, we don't know if he can get through the season. And it's tough to argue about because I don't like arguing about injuries. There are players that in their career, we can talk about professional players in any sport that kind of break into their let's use one right now. Zion in the NBA. He never plays. We could talk all about what we think Zion is. I don't know. When he did play, he looked really good, but he never plays. And it's like, well, what am I expecting his career arc to be now that he's missed this much time? That's a lot of time. You miss a whole season, basically. I don't know what to think of you. We do this with guys, and then let's just find out that maybe it was like a Kawhi Leonard situation. Remember when he was, and he is again, when he was chronically injured. I think a lot of people thought, well, Kawhi Leonard, I mean, he's a nice player when he's on the floor. He's just never on the floor. And then all of a sudden he was healthy for a few years. And all of a sudden he was the strongest guy on the floor. He was a killer. He went through long stretches of time where he was one of the most dominant three players in the game. And you began to forget about how his career started, how he had to overcome injuries, how he had all those problems. I would love that to be the story this year, that Jordan is finally healthy. He's taken the reins. It's his team. And, lo and behold, we're through 8 weeks, and Jordan hasn't missed any significant time with injury, because then we could find out what he really is. Because, I mean, I have my questions about him as a passer, and I hope he proves me wrong, and we've talked about that. A lot of other things have to be working as well for that to be the outcome that we want. But also he's got to be healthy long enough to get any sort of rhythm and any sort of continuity and momentum in a season, because he would stop, start, miss. He would be benched. They were making mistakes, put Mackenzie Milton in off and on, all that other stuff. We haven't seen him flow week to week to week to week to week. Same, utilization of his skill set, game plan to game plan.
Yeah, and the thing is, when you did see that stretch of games, and that would be defined as the back half of the season, I think it's fair at that point, as long as he wasn't hurt. The offense produced. They went 5-3, and they were in just about every one of those. Actually, they were in every one of those football games. They weren't outclassed in any of them. Not Clemson, not Florida. They were in it to the very end. And if he plays the whole game against Florida, what if? And that's the thing that you don't want to be asking yourself as a Nole fan, or certainly I don't want anybody asking on the phone in a post-game show after one of 12 this year. And it could happen at any time. I don't think you're ever going to be settled as a Nole fan, even week to week or within the 60 minutes, that all right, he's on lock today. He might start hot, and you're like, you see a guy rushing the passer from the blind side, and Jordan doesn't see him, and my thought isn't fumble. Is he going to continue to play in this game? You're going to be worried about those things. But to advance that discussion, the question that I have is, are you going to look like you did in the Florida game last year when he exited completely hapless on offense? Or is there some hope that if you need a quarter or you need a half, and he's not available, we'll put a game aside for the moment, but you need a quarter or a half, can you be productive? Or is this all running through him just like it was last year? Same as it ever was. You're not going to produce it all without Jordan Travis. I'm leaning, because I listened to our video. I listened back to it, watched the segment, and we talked about how the personnel's better, but not much better. But I think the offense is in a position with Tate specifically. I don't know that Duffy's ready, but I think the offense is in a position with Tate that if he's out for a quarter, Jordan Travis, I think you've got enough there that you don't look as lost and hopeless as you did last year. I don't know if you agree with that, but I feel that way coming out of spring.
I would think that if Tate has to play, they got to run him. That sounds strange. You got to run him. You got to show that your offense can be not as dynamic, but you got to run him. I think it solves a couple of things. If you run Tate, first of all, he's a better athlete than a lot of defenses in this league realize, is my guess, right? They haven't had a chance to really see just how athletic he is. We're at practices, and we know that he's a good athlete. And I'm talking like beyond the stereotype. He's just a good athlete. So nobody's Jordan Travis in a phone booth. He'll make anybody miss because he's got elite feet. But, you can run Rodemaker. And I think it would be good for him to get into the flow of a game and use all aspects of the offense, including his legs. He's got that touch throw. We know he has that touch throw to the portier. If those two would work out just fine there on that sideline, that back shoulder throw. He's got that all day long. I don't know what he has to be tough enough to stand in the pocket, stand tall, and read a defense and get to his third receiver, which I'm begging Jordan to do, and throw the ball on time in a small window in the middle of the field. I think he's a better passer than Jordan. I don't know that he has the confidence to make that happen. So that's the problem. And I don't think we would know until he gets put into a game. He looked much better all spring, but then, we got into the spring game, and again, we've seen some of these moments where there was nothing there that you said, oh, well, he's miles ahead of where he was. I don't know that in a game situation that he is.
Yeah, I hear you on that. There were some limiting factors. Number one, you remember, they start with a 4th and goal drill. Jesus. And they didn't communicate that to the people. So that's a disaster. Automatically, you're thinking, here we go throwing picks. But if it's a 2-point conversion or a 4th and goal or whatever the situation is, a pick is an okay play because you've got to make some kind of play towards the end zone if things are covered. And then the howling winds that day. I mean, what a terrible day. And add that to the list of unlucky things to happen to Mike Norvell.
Yes, but Mike does this. Sorry, Tom. He has a way of throwing gasoline on a fire.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, it drives me nuts. Like, yeah, he's been as unlucky as a coach can be, and then he fools around and loses to Jacksonville State.
Sure.
And then on this particular day, where you've asked people to pay to come to this thing, you roll out there and run 2-point conversions, and your first 3 quarterbacks go out there and throw picks because nobody knows what the hell is going on, and it's just assumed that, oh, here we go again. I mean, Jesus. Sorry.
No,
trip down memory lane.
It was, and I did the watch along, so that was I was like, Gene. I didn't send him a private message or a text. I almost did, like, are we going to continue this experiment? Because this is ridiculous. And then 5 minutes in or 10 minutes in, they decided to play real football or something that resembled real football. But the reason I'm frustrated with that, indefensible start to the scrimmage or the spring game aside, is I think if the fans got to see the tape that we saw day in and day out in practice, and it was rather consistent that he wasn't terrible. I know that sounds like a low bar, but it was rather consistent that he was not terrible. No. If you saw that guy and you believe, as I do, that this offensive line in terms of run blocking is going to be improved, and you've got to Trey Benson, and you're right, Rodemaker, especially on the rollouts. I don't know about like straight quarterback runs or zone reads. You have to show it in order for a defense to honor it. But you roll him out. He's very good on the run, especially to his right, as you would imagine, being a right-handed quarterback. You might be able to get by. You might be able to – whereas last year, I mean, that was a joke in Gainesville. And that's game 12. You would think that there is a contingency plan for no Jordan Travis. If you've got 3 months to figure out a plan B. I mean, I remember back the Clint Trickett days. Jimbo even tried the Chris Thompson Wildcat to start the Clemson game on the road. Yeah. And that didn't work, but it was a plan B. There is no plan B last year. I think there is one this year because, again, if you're going to give me Jordan Travis at 12 games and you tell me he's completely healthy, they're going to win 7 or 8 games. I think at minimum they're winning 7 or 8 games. But if they don't have him and they miss him for a week or a quarter here or there and it's the same old, you're going to have somebody else step up, and you can't look like a bunch of saps that have never played football in your life.
Yeah, no, and if that happens, if it ends up happening that you put Tate in and he doesn't have it, and he can't draw down deep and find the strength to get the talent that he has out of him in a game situation, your season's lost, and at that point you're just going to AJ Duffy, and everything would feel like it is unraveling, and we have to hold our breath. That's the great unknown, in the sense that if Jordan can't go, what does the coaching staff do? But they do have better protection for him this year, at least the starters. And on paper, there are a couple guys that can aid his endeavor here to not have to be the whole offense. It's Jeff Cameron Show, 93.3 Real Talk Radio and Warchant TV on a Libations Friday.
Can cause headaches, neck pain, back pain, arm pain. With Finn Chiropractic, we turn your subluxation into relaxation with an adjustment. Come on by and see us or get in touch with us at finnchiro.com. That's FENNCHIRO.com. Because your chiropractor loves you and there's nothing you can do about it.
Hey, no fans, our partner ISF Inc. is a national management and IT consulting firm located right here in Tallahassee, Florida, solving the future for state governments through strategy, process, and technology. As a trusted advisor for state governments, ISF knows the importance of defining a clear and detailed strategy. Our friends at ISF can help your organization create a strategy that sets you on a path to success. ISF, your vision plus our expertise brings your brilliant ideas to life. Visit ISF.com to learn more. ISF, solving the future.
Men, it's time. The Men's March to End Abortion and Rally for Personhood is Saturday, June 11th, the weekend before Father's Day, from 12 to 3 p.m. in Tallahassee, Florida. Men gather at 12 p.m. for the march. All women, children, and families join us for the 2 p.m. rally at the Florida State Capitol. You are needed. Every life matters. Join us on June 11th in Tallahassee. For more information, go to themensmarch.com.
When you need a plumber quick, how long is an acceptable time to have to wait?
Yeah, hey, it's the Millers again. Just calling you about our little plumbing problem.
2 hours?
Hey, we were hoping you can get here soon because the water is getting really bad. I mean, please hurry.
4 hours?
I know you said you were on your way, but, honey, tell the kids to tread water.
8 hours?
Don't worry about us. We're fine.
At M&L Plumbing, you'll never have to wait long for quality, dependable service, right when you need it. At M&L Plumbing, we listen to our customers, and our qualified technicians aim to achieve 100% customer satisfaction. So the next time you need plumbing work or repairs, think of the name M&L Plumbing, your local plumbing experts, commercial or residential. Give us a call, 850-575-9393, or visit us online at mandlplumbing.com. M&L Plumbing, for all of your plumbing needs.
Highway 27 Grill and Barbecue just north of Havana is your final destination for hamburger excellence. But what if you don't know which burger to try? Captain Kenny has turned off the no smoking sign and has a 3-burger flight to help you make your decision. Put down that tray table and let your taste buds fly. Highway 27 Grill and Barbecue, 1 mile north of the last light in Havana. Highway 27 Grill and Barbecue. Get your fill at the grill.
Wildfires and other disasters are becoming a way of life. For many, preparing go bags relieves stress. Tips for disaster preparedness and suggestions for putting together your own go bag are available from FEMA at ready.gov, and you can search go bag on jw.org.
We all want more energy, more strength, more results. Well, welcome to Orange Theory Fitness as you take a step towards feeling more alive today. Backed by science, Orange Theory's heart rate monitored workout is scientifically designed to keep heart rates in a target zone, spiking metabolism and increasing energy. Orange Theory Fitness is a one-of-a-kind group personal training workout resulting in more energy, visible toning, and extra calorie burn for up to 36 hours. Experience a more vibrant life today with Orange Theory Fitness. To find out more, go to orangetheoryfitness.com.
The Jeff Cameron Show is a production of the Warchant.com Multimedia Network. Check out Warchant.com today for the latest news inside Florida State athletics. That's Warchant.com. Now, back to Jeff on Real Talk 93.3.
Nation's Friday edition, Jeff Cameron Show, 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV. Florida State baseball is underway. This is recorded. I can't give you a score update, but I can guess at it. Let's see how close I am. I'm going to say Noles 2. What, UCLA nothing? You like that?
Whoa, 2-0. Well, as long as there's no weather delay, they're in about the 4th or the 5th inning.
Yeah, 2-0 Noles in the 4th.
Wow.
I think I nailed it, guys.
Okay.
Channel that. I feel good about that. I don't know if we'll hold on, but let's check the time. Let's check the time tomorrow when this is going down and see how close I was. It's going to be 9-0 UCLA in the first. Anyhow. So let's follow back up on something. It was fun. That was meaty. That was a good conversation. Towards the end of it, I brought up AJ Duffy. You and Ira, and I've only had to do like one little snippet here, but you two have mainly had to do this, and you've carried the burden of almost all of it. So I give you credit. It's truly a summer project, right? You've had to go position group by position group by position group by position group by position group and break down the players of said group. I think the latest version that we have on Warchant.com is the corners.
I was saying, me and Ira, that was a 2-man. So I didn't have to do the voiceover. It was, and those are fine too. I mean, they're informational and you get them done. But I enjoyed having company this time around. Yeah,
a little bit easier. It is just time consuming, and it is truly a labor of love, I'm sure. But what I would say is that I have watched them, and I am interested by them, mainly because I love everybody I work with, and I like to yell when I'm listening to it. I'm like, he's wrong. That kid sucks. Or I'll go, that seems fair. That seems fair. Oh, you don't know. You didn't say enough glowing things about him, guys.
Well, I think I can honestly say, and you probably know this by watching 30 seconds of one video, specifically you do, these are more positive. You know, you're not going to.
Oh, they're all, yeah.
Right. Well, I mean, look, there are dudes who surprise you. Amarian Cooper last year was on nobody's radar. And by the end of the season, he's your best corner. So you always have to allow for that because these videos don't go away. It's not a conversation. You're saying, where are they and what chances do they have to crack the 2 deep? You've got to be very careful because, you don't want a moment like saying that Dylan Gibbons can't play. And the next thing you know, he's the starting left guard and your best offensive lineman.
Yeah, Corey Clark, front and center, yeah.
Or why did they sign Amarian Cooper? You don't want moments like that. So, or why did they bring in Trey Benson? We were all guilty of well, that's an interesting take. And then by the end of spring camp, you're saying that's your starter. So you always got to leave room for those types of things.
Well, and I think in fairness, with guys you didn't know about, it's just you're kind of, we'll see. I mean, we haven't, he hasn't been here or whatever it might be. Like, I don't know that I had an opinion. I thought it was an interesting take. You're right about bringing in Trey Benson, but I didn't have an opinion about him because I didn't see him. I was just like, well, apparently if he's healthy, he's really good. We'll see. Turns out he was.
Yeah, that's like for me, it's Byron Turner and Patrick Payton on the D line. I'm like, I don't know. I mean, here's where they are. They showed some flashes. That's all true. We saw it with our own eyes. But, if you're like, are they going to crack the 2 deep? Are they going to be the guy? Which one of them is going to have more reps this year? Man, I don't know.
I'll tell you this. I mean, I doubted, and I get a lot of things wrong. I always like to point this out. I'm very well aware, everybody. Get a lot of things right, too, and everything in between. We all do. When you're in the opinion game on a daily basis, you're going to get some things wrong. You get some things right, and there's nuance there that you're not necessarily always afforded when you're doing a show. But I don't like to force things either. I'll just tell you this. I never saw it with Cushney. I didn't understand it. It still pisses me off. I'm angry about it right now.
That's a fact. That's true. You could hear it coming through the microphone.
I couldn't believe it, man. I remember I looked at that. I was like, I don't know, man. That guy doesn't look like, he doesn't have the measurables. I'm not even sure he can play even a little bit. And then we got out there and I was like, no, guys. And anyhow, so the point is, the good news is there haven't been too many of those moments. There haven't been too many moments where I'm like, oh, man, you guys have whiffed completely. He's got no shot. What are we doing? So that's the compliment that we give this coaching staff and we give Norvell and this staff as a whole. There haven't been a lot of guys where we're like, what in the world are you doing? And so I do tend to give the benefit of the doubt on a lot of guys that we bring in, especially transfer portal guys or graduate players. I do think they've, for the most part, gotten productivity at the very bare minimum. They've gotten guys that have helped produce for them. Could be on special teams, could be as a viable backup, could be as a starter for long periods of time. And you don't see a huge, precipitous drop-off. If a guy goes down, that guy comes in, plays 3 games. They've done a good job with that. And I think this year that's going to be true for sure. Where we've wondered about them is their high school recruiting. And they've done a pretty good job with some guys they've swung and missed. I don't know how many times a week I'm going to bring it up. I think we're probably around 3 times a week right now. They've never hit the ball out of the yard when bringing receivers into the program from high school. That has been a cataclysmic failure. But that said, what about quarterback? We were just talking about quarterbacks. A.J. Duffy is kind of how we ended the conversation last segment. Let's revisit that and talk about A.J. Duffy for a second. What'd you make of spring? I have not asked you this. I don't think I've given anybody my opinion on A.J. Duffy post-spring. So we'll both give ours right here, right now on the Jeff Cameron Show, world famous as it is, on a Libations Friday. Let's do this. I liked A.J. Duffy. I liked what I saw from A.J. Duffy this spring. I also recognize that you don't want A.J. Duffy to have to play this year. So both can be true, and that's totally fair. He's a bigger kid than people described him as. As soon as we saw him, I was like, what's the problem? Everybody said he's small. He's not small at all. He's a big, thick, strong kid. Yep. He has a big arm. There are people I've seen with better arms, but it's a good arm. And he had some throws in him in spring where you're like, there it is. And then he looked totally lost at times. When they got into teamwork sometimes, he looked a little overwhelmed. Well, guess what? Dude was supposed to be in high school. So, it makes a lot of sense that you would look a little overwhelmed when you first get here. As a quarterback, man, I can think about every situation. There are so seldom it is so rare that you see a Jameis Winston. It just doesn't happen that guys walk on campus, or very rarely does it happen that a guy walks on campus. An early enrollee at quarterback walks on campus and looks like he was made to play big-time Power 5 college football forever, right? You just see him and you go, oh, well, there it is. Doesn't usually happen, man. The speed of the game, I don't care if you come from IMG or not. You get to a place like Florida State, even as saddled with average as they've been, you're still talking about way bigger, way stronger, faster gentlemen all around you. Plays begin and end like this. That's not true in the most elite contest in high school. It's not true. It's like when you go watch a high school football game, even again at South Florida, I don't care, wherever you go, it looks like they're playing in slow motion. Now, you'll see elite players. You'll see skill position guys that run 4.3 40s, and you're like, yeah, that translates. If he knows what he's doing, that translates. But the plays take forever in high school. They don't in college, and they sure as hell don't in the NFL. So that's where you watch these quarterbacks come in, and they looked absolutely like they've seen a ghost sometimes. They're just sort of like, what in the world was that? But all of that said, A.J. Duffy had a good camp.
Yeah, I think so. He certainly, the first impression was strong, and that's why that first day, I think it was you and Corey did the stand-up for Warchant TV, and then Corey wrote the article, and we talked about our observations the next radio show we did, and he was one of the bright spots that first day, like across the board at any position. His mechanics are smooth. The thing I'd say about him is that speed that he has will play, and I don't mean it's going to play like Jordan Travis. I'm saying if it's 3rd and 6, and a play is strung out, and he bounces and rolls out to the right, and then he goes, oh, crap, I've got to get the first down, and he's in a foot race, he might well win that foot race to get the 6 you need. He might take a hit to do it, but it's functional speed. It's not statuesque lack of speed. So he's got a little bit of that to him. He does look like he has the body type to take the punishment of the game. The problem is, yes, the game was moving too fast for him, but he's not rotating in with the ones for reps. And I really would have liked to see, not because I think he's a starter right away, I really would like to see what A.J. Duffy looked like with a semblance of time in 11-on-11 drills. Because when you're behind the 3rd-string offensive line at Florida State, going against, I get it, it's 3rd-string defenders, but you have defensive interior players like Florida State does, and they've got 3 strings worth of defensive interior players. You really don't have, and 3rd-string receivers here at Florida State, my God. Like, you're not really working with anything. So the hard part is, as you're assessing 11-on-11 stuff, I don't know that I can learn anything. And I wonder sometimes, how much can he possibly learn? Like, are they just telling him to go through the reps because they want his eyes to be in the right place, and that's what they're going through on film? Because if you're assessing it like a fair fight in a football game, that's not a fair fight. I wish I got to see him a little bit more with more important reps just to assess how he might look when he has a chance to succeed on a given play. I don't think that he had a whole lot of chances to do so. And certainly in the spring game, he hardly got a chance. That's another strike too. You know, if you've got a hotshot freshman, put him in a position to make a few plays, get the fans feeling pretty good about the future of the program, and then ask for them to stroke a check. He didn't have any chance last year in the spring game to do much of anything.
You're hitting on something that speaks to a larger issue, and that they're betwixt and between. They're stuck trying to win right now and also prepare to try to win 2 and 3 years from now, the way a normal program runs. You know, the way a normal program runs when you're not up against it is that you bring guys in and it's understood that they're going to be on the bench for a good year or two before they play. If you've got a healthy depth chart and the competition is bold, then you know that guys have time to get up to speed and you can kind of play around with it. But when you need your starters, the guys that you're going to rely on to win games now, it's paramount that they win games now. You're going to give them all the opportunities and the most amount of reps with the other starters over and over and over again, because time is of the essence. And you can't think about 2 and 3 years down the road if you're not sure, frankly, whether or not you're going to see it through. Now, I'm not saying, again, for those that maybe are new to us talking about this program, I'm not saying that Mike Norvell has a bad year, he's fired. I'm saying that Mike Norvell has a bad year, he's a dead man walking. So he knows he's got to win now. The staff knows they got to win now. And they're going to do everything they can, the way they structure practice, to get the guys they're going to rely on to win now on the field, repping together. And so it's like, how do I work this in? How do I work this guy who I really like, and I think he's going to be a good player, but I know he can't play for me this year. And if he does have to play for me this year, we're screwed. So how do I get him the right reps at the right time with these starters when I need all those reps to go to this guy who I am counting on me to win, for me to win this year? It's just they're kind of stuck a lot of times. I think they're stuck sometimes with the way that they recruit. Like, how many transfer portal guys do you have to rely on year in and year out? Well, if you're 5-7 and you better have a winning season, and you know that guy in the portal may not be a great player, he may not be a transcendent player, but is he a better right guard than the guard you're going to be forced to start right now? Then I got to take him. And now I'm using numbers because I had to take a guy that I didn't necessarily love, but I don't know that the guy that I brought in, who I know is more talented and will be more talented for us 3 years from now, I can't play him. So I've got to now bring this guy in and start him. And there's a lot of that, trying to figure out that balance going on right now.
Yeah, and that's the hard thing too, just to get into recruiting philosophy. It pisses off the high schools when you dip into the transfer portal and take committable offers away from kids. That pisses off the state or the region, and you've got to balance that. It's like the reverse in college baseball. I know as the game's going on right now, Mike Martin Jr. has talked about it. Because of the trickle-down effect of how professional ranks do the draft and things like that, you might have to, dip into the pocket of a junior college that's right, or community college that's right down the corner. And that's a friend of yours because, people talk and it's the industry. But now you're going to piss off a friend because, hey, man, I'm losing 3 or 4 players and I'm not going to get fired. I'm sorry that this puts you in a bind, but I'm going to get the best guy from Santa Fe College or TCC or wherever in the pro, it is pro now, I suppose. But in the college football ranks, it's, how many kids can I take without severing this relationship that I have with a coach from Valdosta or a coach down in Lake City or wherever? Point to the place on the map. You've got to do that balancing act. And I think at this point in the program's health, which is improving, but I think we're still in the ICU a little bit here, you've got to assess it and say, I don't care what my relationship is with a high school coach. I won't have one in 2 years if I don't dip into the portal and look like I know what I'm doing. Because these kids are putting me in a position where I don't look like I know what I'm doing. So I think that's where they are right now. But the hard part is, and I guess to specifically the case for AJ Duffy, I guess they see enough out of Tate that they believe that he is without a doubt their second best option, or else they would be rotating Duffy in with the 2s.
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah, and to bring it on home, you're right. It's a better way to do it, and we should here to round out the segment. Yeah, as it pertains specifically to AJ Duffy, Tom, you and I both agree on this. I know we do, so I don't mind bringing it up and speaking for you here. Tate Rodemaker looked a lot better than AJ Duffy in camp. It wasn't close. Not even a little bit. Tate Rodemaker was a lot better in camp than AJ Duffy was. So for people wondering where we're getting at, AJ Duffy's not ready. Now, maybe by the end of the year he will be. Maybe he'll take a huge leap forward as the year goes on, and obviously he gets better and better acclimated to what what we're doing on offense.
Yeah, what I'd say is that's also something to watch for in camp. I'm not saying that I expect to see AJ Duffy take reps with the 2s, but I'll check in on it and make sure that is the same as spring, where that's not even in the equation. But there is a chance that a player run practices and a summer working with Coach Tokars, right? He gives him a list of things to know, AJ Duffy, that is, to look over on film. You might see mercurial growth. I mean, that could happen.
Sure.
But that's something we'll certainly keep an eye on in fall camp. I would assume, based on what we've seen, and like you, because we've seen that Tate Rodemaker was far better throw for throw, even in individual work, where it doesn't matter what your surrounding cast is. I assume that it's going to be 1s for Jordan, 2s for Tate, and that's the end of it.
Yeah, I hope we don't see Tate Rodemaker take a single snap this year unless Florida State's up by 30, and I hope we don't see AJ Duffy at all. I guess, unless they're up by 30 and you've got that 4-game rule where he can play as much as he wants. I don't picture Florida State in a ton of games in which they're up by 30 and they have the luxury of going to a 3rd-string quarterback. But if they do, That would be nice. It's Jeff Cameron Show, 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV.
Any anger management issues or other military-related trauma he received as a result of his service in the military. Part of the agreement is Hansford's admission of guilt of the offense. The Florida Highway Patrol responded to a single vehicle accident on Southwest Van Buren Road in Lafayette County Thursday night. A sedan that was driven by a 23-year-old male of Perry was traveling east on Southwest Van Buren Road when it exited the road onto the north shoulder of the road and collided with a tree. The driver, along with a 15-year-old female passenger of Mayo, were transported by air to UF Health in Gainesville. This is Rachel Lene with your Real Talk 93.3 local news update, brought to you by Macklemore Systems, Tallahassee's go-to Mac store. Check them out online at macklemoresystems.com.
This is meteorologist Paul Trombley with your Real Talk 93.3 weather update. A mix of clouds and sun this afternoon with a chance for isolated thunderstorms. Highs around 94, south winds around 5 miles per hour. Chance for isolated storms again tonight. Lows around 71, partly cloudy skies. Chance for scattered thunderstorms tomorrow. High temperatures reach up to 92. Sunshine mixed with clouds at times. This report is brought to you by The Lawn Johns. For all your landscaping and lawn care needs, visit thelawnjohns.com. Right now, 92.
When your AC unit decides to give up the ghost, it doesn't always pick the best time. But no matter what time, day or night, or day of the week, you can call E&B Heating and Air Conditioning. We'll be out to bring your AC unit back to life. We've been repairing and replacing heating and air conditioning systems in the North Florida and South Georgia area since 1974. So when your air conditioner stops working, call E&B Heating and Air Conditioning to the rescue.
Well. Hey, Jeff, look at this place.
Yeah. Well, doing well. It's been a while since I've seen you, brother, but, it hasn't been a while since I've been over to Gordo's. I go there on the regular because of you, Eddie.
Well, we keep you regular.
Well, that's true, but I think of Gordo's as a place to sit down, have a cold beer, talk to your friends, enjoy the sports, eat the delicious food. But I think of you as Uncle Eddie, a man who takes care of his people and takes care of the town.
I appreciate that, Jeff. Hey, and we'll keep you regular.
Gordo's, bringing the flavor and flair of Cuban food to Tallahassee since 1996.
Here's what you missed on the Greg Tish Show.
We need to have history. We need to have literature. It deserves an explanation. We don't need to be promoting lifestyles that come into play for your average elementary school.
Well, I had an experience with this. When my daughter was in school, her teacher gave her a book to read, but then she asked me what the C word is.
That was in the book.
That was in the book.
Okay, so talking about the C word. So you're talking about conservatives, right?
The Greg Tish Show, Monday through Friday, 6 to 9 a.m., only on Real Talk 93.3. The Jeff Cameron Show is a production of the Warchant.com Multimedia Network. Check out Warchant.com today for the latest news inside Florida State athletics. That's Warchant.com. Now, back to Jeff on Real Talk 93.3.
Part of the show where we take an extreme right turn, and I thank my producer Tom Wang for bringing something up, and then I give you the opportunity peek into my kitchen for a moment. Tom, I know lately I've been doing a lot of cooking, and I seem to regale you and Matthew with my latest exploits. Trying to do the right thing. I'm getting in summer shape. Orange Theory Fitness is helping me out greatly. Guess what I used last week? No. You're going to think that I'm telling you about the salmon again that I baked the other day, which was fantastic. And I'm still raving. I've gotten rave reviews from my family about the salmon that I've figured out and perfected. No, something different. Do you recall what you mentioned a week ago?
What I mentioned a week ago.
In regards to cooking?
It was a trick that Jamie did, right? Because you were looking to cook for somebody? Or was you're right. You did. And it was kind of an unfair question of me because it was part of a larger discussion where we mentioned many things about cooking. No, you specifically mentioned something that I hadn't thought about in years. And I went out to my garage, which has too much junk in it. And I'm going to use the Foreman. You broke out the Foreman?
Now, get this. I forgot that when I was a broke bachelor, and I was making $30,000 a year in radio, and I lived in an apartment and I was scraping by.
Everybody who's driving around in town right now says, you can make $30,000 in radio? Give me that job. Give me that one.
Well, that's what I was making for too long. But anyhow, there I was making 30 grand, and I lived in an apartment, and I didn't have a lot because it's hard to have a lot when you're making 30 grand, even 20 years ago. So I'll tell you this, I jumped all over the George Foreman grill. Moreover, my family, who knew I was poor, me and my mom and my dad and my grandma and all of them, they're like, oh, Jeffrey's poor as hell. He's chasing a dream, but he's broke ass like most dream chasers. So they would every Christmas be like, well, what can we do to help him out? How about a Foreman grill? How about these things that are very pragmatic, very practical that help you get by, right?
Yeah, don't give him cash. He's just going to go run to the bar.
That's yeah. Well, okay. No, we don't have to do that.
No. My parents got me gift cards to restaurants for that. I'm positive. You're not the only one. I'm like, oh, hit me with another macaroni grill, are you?
Yeah.
I see what's going on.
I'm going to take all 100 of this macaroni grill and sit at the bar at Macaroni Grill.
I'm going to have the half-price wine on Fridays with some spaghetti.
Yeah, I'm going to drink thinking about how broke I am and how tough it is to eat. So here. Oh, Ray Liotta, we miss you. But so yeah, what ended up happening was that so you mentioned it. And it was like an earworm. I couldn't stop thinking about the Foreman grill. Mm-hmm. And I was like, so I'm driving down the road on my way home. I'd gone grocery shopping. And I thought, when I get done putting these groceries away, by the way, I'm very good at putting groceries away. I'm very efficient. I use the Tetresian method that Tom espouses. And I'm fantastic at it. So I don't like, you know how your dad would mow the lawn and he didn't want you to mow the lawn, like in some cases, because it was his thing, at least the way it was in my house. So I'm that way with putting away groceries. You don't get to put, I shopped for the groceries. I'm going to put away the groceries. I'm going to put them the way that I want them in the order of importance, because you need to have easy accessibility. I'll give you an example. Some things you're going to use within 24 hours of purchasing. Others, that's a Wednesday purchase. I bought this on a Sunday. That's a Wednesday thing. I'm putting you more towards the back or at least the second row. So anyhow, you have a whole system in place. Just like I have a system in place as to when I take things out of my cart at the grocery store and I put them there on the belt. And as I put them on there, I'm always like, okay, well, I see the colds go with the colds, the hot go with the hot, the breads go with the breads. Everybody knows this. This is how it works.
That's where you like having the cardboard boxes of some kind, because they're the dividers. If you got the soaps and then, the produce. So if you have
that's the Costco run you're talking about, with the cardboard box, you can say, hey, can I get a box for the cold items?
Yeah. I'm saying, like, even if you had like a cereal box, like the cereal box is a great divider to transition from the produce to the soaps, because you never want the smell to travel.
Good call. Yeah, I use cereal boxes exactly that way. You're right on. Now, I get home and I'm doing all this and I put everything away just the way I like it. And I'm like, all right, that's good. Let's go out to the garage. I wonder if I still have my Foreman grill. I haven't cooked anything on the Foreman in years. And it occurs to me, because you brought it up, that it worked perfectly well. There was no reason to shelve the George Foreman grill. There was no reason. And you could cook anything on there. You could melt chocolate stuff on cookies. You could do anything you want. So I was kind of like, all right, here we go. I'm going to go check. And I went out to the garage. And Tom, not only did I find the original Foreman grill, which, as you recall, was itty bitty, I didn't realize I got that big bitch. I got that gigantic Foreman grill that you could eat like 9 burgers on there. 9. You can do it. And I went, there he is. Haven't seen him in years. Pulled him out, dusted him off. He hasn't been used in over 15 years. Brought him in. I guess I should say her. Washed her up. Got it all set. Plugged it in. Just waiting to see that little yellow light that's on the top. That little yellow light?
And then you hear the click. That's a good sound.
Boop, yeah. Boop. Yeah. I was like, here we go. And I plugged it in and it worked. And it got hot really quickly. I forgot how quickly it gets hot. I was like, ooh, it gets hot quick. And I did. And so anyhow, I've made sausages on there. I've made burgers on there for the kids. I've made big pieces of fish on there. I've made desserts on there. I'm using this thing like it's my job. I've got the Foreman. My wife's furious. She's like, we've got this clunky ass Foreman thing just sitting here. I go, I clean it up. I clean it up every time I use it. It doesn't just sit there filthy like I did in college.
That's one of the other things too that's very satisfying is the cleaning of the Foreman. If you
it's easy.
If you clean it right away, take a wet paper towel, right, and just wipe down. Because it was what I know it's really hot work, literally hot work. But if you go to the Japanese steakhouse and you get the hibachi done for you, like at the end when they dump the water on there and they scrape it, I don't know why. That just looks like a very satisfying job. You're breathing in the steam. It's probably bad for you.
Yeah,
it's like I want to do that. And with the Foreman, you get a little slice of it.
By the way, unless people forget this too, they give you those little plastic pronged things that allow you to go through the grooves. It goes through the grooves and you get all that grease out of there. People forget it. And you got the grease collector. So you're just like, come on, get you some. And it is very satisfying. And then it doesn't get everything, can't get everything, but it gets all the nasty stuff off. And you're right. All it takes, a little wet washcloth, shooby-doo, you are done just like that.
Yeah, and you got to do it while it's hot. I taught my friend a cheat code there, and when I was
you got to do it while it's hot. You can't let that sit. Oh, excuse me. You can't let that sit.
Yeah, it was unintentional.
Yeah, you can't.
Can't let that sit and get cool. That's what
let that sit. Yeah, that's correct. Can't let it sit. Yeah, but if you get it, it comes off very easily, very, very easily. So that's all. That's what this segment was. I wanted to thank you. I've fallen in love with my, 34, 33, 32-year-old self. Yeah. Again, I'm like, I can picture me back there. All right. This is satisfying.
And
I like this.
That's where you make the bacon for the boys because it's the cleanest way to make the bacon.
It's a beautiful thing. All right. Hour number 2, forthcoming. Stay with us. Jeff Cameron Show, Libations Friday. Do you guys feel like using a Foreman grill right now, don't you? I know you do. You can. You got all summer. They still make them, guys. I see them all over the place. We'll be back in a moment.
From the Federal Reserve and D.C. politicians, combined with zero interest rates, have propped up financial markets since the financial crisis ended in 2009. The Fed recently ended quantitative easing and has started to raise interest rates at a time when the global economy was already slowing. Have you considered what another 50% correction in the stock market would do to your retirement plan? If you're concerned about where this all might be headed and would like to find out about the potential benefits of an active risk management strategy for your portfolio, give me a call at 850-900-5200 and schedule a time for a review of your portfolio from an active risk management perspective.
Make Jamie your first call for a second opinion. Investment advisory services are offered through Trek Financial, LLC, an SEC-registered investment advisor.
Physical stress on our bodies can take its toll as the years go by. Whether you're looking to get back into an old sport or just want to spend more time outdoors to explore all life has to offer in our beautiful city, the dedicated team at TOC is here for you every step of the way. You can trust TOC for all your orthopedic needs. And now, scheduling an appointment has never been easier. Just visit teamtoc.com and click schedule online. That's teamtoc.com.
Well. Hey, Jeff, look at this place.
Yeah. Well, doing well. It's been a while since I've seen you, brother, but, it hasn't been a while since I've been over to Gordo's. I go there on the regular because of you, Eddie.
Well, we keep you regular.
Well, that's true. But I think of Gordo's as a place to sit down, have a cold beer, talk to your friends, enjoy the sports, eat the delicious food. But I think of you as Uncle Eddie, a man who takes care of his people and takes care of the town.
I appreciate that, Jeff. Hey, and we'll keep you regular.
Gordo's, bringing the flavor and flair of Cuban food to Tallahassee since 1996.
Crawfordville Auto and Tire. Crawfordville Auto and Tire. Oh, hey there. I was just singing the praises of Crawfordville Auto and Tire. They do just about everything. Complete engine rebuilds, brakes, shocks, tires, oil change, you name it, they do it. And they offer a 12-month, 12,000-mile warranty on all parts and labor. Most of the time, they can service your car the same day and offer towing to help you get to the shop. Now that's something to sing about. Open weekdays from 7:30 in the morning until 6 at night. Crawfordville Auto Repair and Tires.
There's fun to be had every night at the Corner Pocket. Take home prizes on Trivia Tuesdays and Beer Bingo Thursdays. And kickstart your weekend with Martini Fridays. Plus happy hour runs every weekday and game day specials every time the Noles take the field. Watch all the best games at the Corner Pocket's Vegas wall, featuring 560 inches of flat screen TV heaven.
Oh, really?
The best food, the best drinks, and the best place to watch all the games. Tallahassee loves the Corner Pocket.
Coming up next, more of the Jeff Cameron Show. Live and local on Real Talk 93.3. WVFT, Greta, Tallahassee.
Breaking news this hour from townhall.com. I'm John Scott.
President Biden says there are no firm plans yet for him to visit Saudi Arabia.
I have no direct plans at the moment, but let me tell you that I have been engaged in trying to work with how we can bring more stability and peace in the Middle East.
The president said his critical view on Saudi Arabia's human rights record has not changed, but his administration has been trying to repair relations with the oil-rich kingdom. The president's speech on gun reform garnered reactions from many gun rights advocates.
The National Rifle Association released the following statement in response to President Biden's address on gun control. It says the NRA is made up of millions of law-abiding men and women. We grieve with all America, regardless of party or political affiliation, because these are human tragedies, not political opportunities. The NRA supports the arrest, prosecution, and punishment of any violent criminal or other dangerous, prohibited person who tries to purchase or possess a firearm.
Correspondent Bernie Bennett with that report. Also at townhall.com, U.S. employers adding a healthy 390,000 jobs last month.
The Labor Department also reports the unemployment rate was unchanged at 3.6%. The additional jobs extend a streak of hiring that's bolstered an economy under pressure from high inflation and interest rates. While May's gain reflects a still healthy job market, concerns remain that the economy will weaken in the coming months as the Federal Reserve steadily raises rates to fight inflation.
Correspondent Jeremy House. Prince Harry and his wife Meghan have joined other members of Britain's royal family at a church service honoring Queen Elizabeth's 70 years on the throne. The Queen herself skipped the event at St. Paul's Cathedral in London due to difficulties getting around. On Wall Street, the Dow is down 322 points, the NASDAQ off 312. More at townhall.com.
Hey, I'm Andy. If you don't know me, it's probably because I'm not famous. But I did start a men's grooming company called Harry's. The idea for Harry's came out of a frustrating experience I had buying razor blades. Most brands were overpriced, overdesigned, and out of touch. At Harry's, our approach is simple. Here's our secret. We make sharp, durable blades and sell them at honest prices for as low as $2 each. We care about quality so much that we do some crazy things, like buy a world-class German blade factory. Obsessing over every detail means we're confident in offering a 100% quality guarantee. Millions of guys have already made the switch to Harry's, so thank you if you're one of them. And if you're not, we hope you give us a try with this special offer. Get a Harry starter set with a 5-blade razor, weighted handle, shave gel, and a travel cover, all for just $3 plus free shipping. Just go to harrys.com and enter 3388 at checkout. That's harrys.com, code 3388. Enjoy.
Hey, Noles fans, our partner ISF Inc. is a national management and IT consulting firm located right here in Tallahassee, Florida, solving the future for state governments through strategy, process, and technology. As a trusted advisor for state governments, ISF knows the importance of defining a clear and detailed strategy. Our friends at ISF can help your organization create a strategy that sets you on a path to success. ISF, your vision plus our expertise brings your brilliant ideas to life. Visit ISF.com to learn more. ISF, solving the future. We all want more energy, more strength, more results. Well, welcome to Orange Theory Fitness as you take a step towards feeling more alive today. Backed by science, Orange Theory's heart rate monitored workout is scientifically designed to keep heart rates in a target zone, spiking metabolism and increasing energy. Orange Theory Fitness is a one-of-a-kind group personal training workout resulting in more energy, visible toning, and extra calorie burn for up to 36 hours. Experience a more vibrant life today with Orange Theory Fitness. To find out more, go to orangetheoryfitness.com.
Broadcasting live from Florida's capital city, this is the Jeff Cameron Show, brought to you by Orange Theory Fitness on Real Talk 93.3. Now, stop what you're doing and listen closely. It's time for the Jeff Cameron Show in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Number 2, Jeff Cameron Show, 93.3, Real Talk Radio and Warchant TV. Libations Friday edition, recorded because Florida State baseball is on right now. Knock on wood. At the time that I speak, I don't know. They're not playing. We don't know the score. But, hey, maybe right now they're kicking ass. Let's hope so. Let's hope that I'm driving, listening to this right now in my car going, woohoo, keep it going, boys. I don't know. We'll see. It's a weird team. But nonetheless, we wanted to put new content out there. So Tom and I and Director Matthew got together, and here it is, fresh Friday goodness for you to get you through. Because some of you don't care about college baseball. You don't care about Florida State baseball. You're just downright fed up with college and Florida State baseball. So you're like, give me something else. We have. Last hour, we gave you a bunch of football stuff along with a little George Foreman. And this hour will be something similar without the George Foreman, but I'll have something that I deviate to. I will say this. This is kind of piggybacking on sort of the same principle from the first hour, and that is I was part of I'd never done this before, a Twitter Spaces conversation. I've referenced it a lot because I was on it this week, and we really kind of vetted the whole health of the program, Florida State's program, that is, and what direction it's going. Yeah, there was the prognostication for the season, but also there was a look at quarterback, which we talked a lot about last hour. And then in addition, the kind of thought was, do we think Florida State in 5 years is competitive nationally for a playoff spot? And all these things kind of came up, and you can tell it's the off season, but it was a lot of fun. And I want to thank David Hale and Andrea Adelson again for having me on to do that. But what it did was it kind of spawned a lot more questions in my mind. We finished up that conversation. It was about 45 minutes, and you can find it online. David's tweeted it out. I've tweeted it out. But nonetheless, after we got done, I kind of found myself wondering, there's more to this. There's a lot to talk about here, because it's not just where Jordan Travis sits and ranks amongst the quarterbacks of the ACC and where he has to be by season's in that ranking for Florida State to have success. It was also about, again, big picture. Is Mike Norvell here 4 years from right now? Is the Florida State football program once again a preeminent power even in the ACC? If you just want to bring it back to the ACC, some people would argue, is Florida State even in the ACC 4 or 5 years from now? And how does college football look? And all of those things came up. And it was funny. I noticed I know, Tom, you're fond of bringing up the fact that he cheated, and he did, but I still get along with him swimmingly. And I saw where Staples did a piece on college football programs as stocks. And this came up, something similar did, in that Twitter Spaces conversation that I'm alluding to that I had with David. And we were talking about buying and selling, which teams you would buy, which teams you would sell. Who are you all in on? Who are you worried about? And fans decided to weigh into his larger question. And, okay, it's a fun game, buy or sell. Buy or sell with this Florida State football program if it were a stock. Now, I'll just cite the piece so that I'm fair here. But the question was submitted, and it basically said, if you think of college football programs as stocks, not just for this year, but for the next 2 to 5 years, what programs are you buying and which programs are you selling? And so basically the response was, well, here are a few that come to mind. I can't do it with every program. Who would you say you're in on, and here's why? And I'll just note that, of note, he viewed Notre Dame as a buy and thought that Notre Dame would be somebody with Marcus Freeman at the helm, that they have a chance to take the step forward. You're going to be surprised to hear me say this. I agree with him. I think that Marcus Freeman hire was the right hire and is a charismatic, great coach who will do big things at Notre Dame. I believe that. That doesn't really matter. It's not necessarily germane to our conversation because I really don't care that much. That's just an aside. I root for Notre Dame to suck, frankly. But that said, he went through some of the other programs, and he sold Clemson. Yeah, man, I too am selling Clemson. I think Clemson's in real trouble, believe it or not. I think that there are warning signs everywhere. I think if you're a Clemson fan, you probably see them. You don't want to admit it, like a lot of fans of programs that are on a downward trajectory, right? Where you kind of go, ooh, this is – when you lose all your assistants and you have a coach that's stuck in the past and is proud of it, you're not going to do well in the modern landscape. And I think that there are going to be problems there. But that brings me to what matters most is, are you buying or selling Florida State 2 to 5 year stock window, Tom?
Woo. Well, am I trying to retire on this particular investment, or am I just looking to make a couple of bucks and get a good ROI? Because
you're not trying to lose money, I can tell you that.
I don't think you'd lose money on our stock at this point. It's hard to. I mean, I might have a little bit of interest in crypto and Dogecoin. It's like 8 cents a share or whatever. I think we're pretty low, right? We're not quite a penny stock, but we're pretty low at this point, given what we've been the last 5 or 6 years. It's just been a plummet. So do I think that the program and the stock of the program is going to be worth more in 5 years than I believe it is worth right now? Yes, I do. Do I think it's something that I would put the farm on so that I could retire at 47 years old? No, I don't. That's not the stock I'm buying. I don't know what that team is because you've only got me thinking about this exercise. But do I think that the program at Florida State will be more valuable in 5 years than it is now as a stock? Yes. Yes, I do. Is that too political of an answer?
No. It's interesting. I'm stuck too. I really am, because it would be hard, for example, not to buy. So, let me ask you a question. The best stock in the world right now, a stock that he compared to Apple, would be Georgia. Mm-hmm. They print money. Their fans care deeply. They're in the mega rich conference. They're stacked all around them. They can recruit. They're in the best footprint in the nation to recruit. We are too, by the way. Yeah. That's one of the things that helps differentiate you. But they couldn't be riding higher. Them in Alabama, they're no-brainers. They're just rolling, right? But I would ask you this: where does Florida State compare to Tennessee?
Mm-hmm.
Where does Florida State compare to Tennessee? Because to me, you would say both are pretty volatile, and the upside is with Tennessee.
Well,
because of the money.
Volatile, I don't know, because volatility means that they win 10 games and they lose, and then they lose 7. The next year. They've been pretty low. Tennessee has been. If you look at the chart, and let's just say you pull up a stock chart of Tennessee the last 20 years, I mean, in the very beginning of the window, you see this peak. You're like, oh, look at them. They're fantastic. It's like Toys R Us. There it is. Look at Toys R Us. It's way the hell up here. And then immediately it dips down low. And then for 80% of the graph, it is low. It is flatlined. Florida State, if you're looking at 20 years, has been volatile. But in the last 5 or 6 years, if you're just looking, let's judge it by the window that we're judging on the buy. So 2 to 5 years. I feel like I'm on CNBC right now. But if you look at a 2 to 5 year window of Florida State is going down. Tennessee is just straight down. It hasn't been anywhere. It's just been flat. So
yeah, there's a blip moving up after last year. A little blip.
Yeah. And you could still get in on it. And I think Tennessee is a smarter investment at this point than Florida State.
Yep.
But I also, let me tell you this too, part of the buy on FSU is I believe that their financial situation is going to improve. College football is going to change in the next 5 years. So I don't know that my investment is all about Norvell. I think it's about that we're going to get that life raft that we so need as a football program.
Better, because if not, I'm investing in Tennessee before I'm investing in Florida State. Yeah. They are amongst the leaders in NIL right now. Tennessee is all in on this. And they got a coach who's embraced it, unlike some of the other old fogies. And they are in. And I, by the way, agree with a lot of the old fogies, but it doesn't matter. You adapt or perish. So you've got to find a way, right? I do like that our coach is very malleable to this. Has not, he's certainly not stated publicly anything the way that Dabo Sweeney has. Mm-hmm. I mean, our coach isn't out here stomping his feet, talking about the way things ought to be. He's accepted it, and he's trying to figure out how to navigate these waters because you don't have a damn choice. That's where we're at right now. And I'd rather have a guy who just says, all right, guys, time to put your nose to the grindstone and get to work. And here are the rules. This is what the deal is. We got to figure out a way it could work. I worry for Florida State that there's just not enough guys to help make it work.
Yeah, I think it's a legitimate worry, and it's what we're all staring at. You're hoping that winning can be the key that opens the door, unlocks the door, right? And that's what has to happen first here is 8 or 9 wins to drive the belief out of the fan base that they'll part with a couple of more bucks to put you in a more healthy NIL situation that maybe you can maintain until the life raft gets here. But, I mean, that's a tough ask, especially when you're trying to invest fake money. And just a note, I know the financial advisor commenters are out there right now saying, Doge, why do you invest in crypto? It's funny money, folks. I really don't have like that much. I trust a financial advisor. But the thing I'd say, too, is you look at a program, think about the programs that we've been competing with on the recruiting trail the last 3 or 4 years, sadly. Like, it's the likes of Ole Miss, Mississippi State, Miami. That's not a great team to be competing with for recruits right now. Looks like they might be on the up, but who knows if Ruiz's company goes into the ground. Maybe they're right back where they started. Louisville is another program that we're competing against. It's not Georgia or Alabama or Clemson. It's Louisville, Ole Miss, Mississippi State. And if I'm looking at those particular stocks, I'm undecided on Louisville because if you look at their recruiting class for next year, they're off to an excellent start. Ole Miss is definitely a stock I would buy before our stock. And Mississippi State might be the only one where I definitively say no.
I would never buy Mississippi State stock.
Yeah.
I just don't think you can win at Mississippi State. I mean, not for any real period of time. I don't think so. I think you can at Ole Miss, maybe.
Yep.
You can at Ole Miss. I don't think you can at Mississippi State. I'm just, I'll leave it at that. That's a toughie.
Okay, how about this one? It's not necessarily about what the net profit would be, because to continue the analogy, because right now, University of Florida's stock is worth more than our stock. There's no question about that. But which one would have a greater percentage growth over the next 2 to 5 years, Florida or us? Because the situation at the head coaching position is relatively the same.
Yeah, I'd still gamble on Florida. If they're operating at peak efficiency, they're a safer bet than we are. They just have so much more to fall back on in the way of very wealthy alumni and ability to raise funds at NIL to win over and change their fortunes so much quicker than we do. I just believe that in terms of recruiting.
That's interesting because to me, I would buy Georgia stock, Tennessee stock, Kentucky stock before I would touch Florida's. And if
I'm sorry, I must not have heard the question clearly. Of course, I'm buying Georgia stock over Florida.
No, that's fair. I'm just saying that would impact my decision on whether or not to buy Florida stock because I would find 3 other programs more valuable
in the division.
In the division right now. And if you look at the Atlantic, Florida State might be 2nd or 3rd in that pecking order. Like, I'm not going to continually buy a Wake Forest stock. At some point, that coach is going somewhere else or the dream was going to be over. So
the quarterback's leaving. Yeah, no, that's correct. Yeah.
Clemson's value is plummeting. We believe that. That's what we're forecasting for Clemson.
I think potentially it's plummeting. I have fears if I'm an investor that I'm about to jump into a sinking ship. Yes.
But you're going to lose money on that investment if you buy their stock right now. It's going to go down.
I think so. Yeah.
Louisville, I don't know. Because they could lose enough this year that whatever momentum they have in the recruiting trail is just completely poof. It's gone. It ain't going to be Boston College. It ain't going to be Syracuse. I know we're about to do away with divisions, but that's my argument is how many more rungs are there ahead of you on the ladder? For FSU, a little bit of marginal growth here, and you're closer to the top of the ladder in your own conference than Florida is in the SEC. So therefore, in a way, there might be more growth for FSU as a program in the next few years. I know that's not necessarily apples to apples, but if you're looking for growth, there's more room for growth here over the next 5 years than there is, I think, in Florida. They've got obstacles in their way that I don't think are going anywhere.
It's a fun exercise, I will say, because of the nuance. There's a lot of ways to look at it. I do think if you believe that Florida State, along with some others in this conference, say Clemson, are going to benefit from a sea change in the way that college football operates, well, then it's all moot. And I think more than anything, as investors in this situation, we're not comfortable investing in Florida State is what we're saying. We're saying we're more comfortable investing in Florida State than we are some of these other teams. But that's not where we're putting our money. If we have druthers, if we could look at college football as a whole and say, okay, I'm going to put my money in these 10. There's how many teams are you invested in before Florida State? Too many. The answer is too many. Way too many.
Yeah, like right now, USC is the stock that's the hot
forget about it, man. Jump on that baby yesterday.
But that's the one that's like Netflix a month into the pandemic. You're not too late. It's still going to go up. Now, of course, we're out of it now and they're going down. But, it's May of 2020. The pandemic is raging. Everything's shut down. Damn it, I'm too late on Netflix. No, you're not. You jump in and you get in there now because it's still going up. And that's what USC is. USC is a monster stock right now.
Yeah, it's like Zoom.
Yep. Yes.
You
Exactly.
remember the moment it hit? We were all like, damn it, if we invested in Zoom.
And if you still did it, you weren't too late. Like, that's the thing. And you're like, oh, what the hell? I'm like, no, that's still a lot of growth. Like, don't wait. Act now. Go get USC. That's the stock.
Well, it reminds me of the fact that, all right, maybe you missed the window to sell and buy your house. And, Hamilton Home Loans by guys, they would have the answer for you. 844 FSU loan. But in truth, we already heard from them, right? They noted that basically, hey, guys, yes, you could have been in on this a little bit earlier, but the projection is that prices are going to raise by 26%. You still got time. Like, do this thing now. If you're in a position to do it. Also, make sure you check them out. Hamilton Home Loans, of course, that's the legendary team of Chad and Shannon.
I've got one more stock question for you, and it's going to get near and dear to your heart, not as close as Florida State. But if I gave you the opportunity right now to buy stock in Oklahoma or buy stock in Ole Miss, only for 2 to 5 years, because in a 10 or 20-year investment, Oklahoma is going to win out. But for the next 2 to 5 years, as in the window where Lane is trying to put himself in a position to get another NFL job or the Alabama job or some such upgrade, what stock would you buy right now, Oklahoma or Ole Miss?
Yeah, like long-term, Oklahoma is just you and me investing in an index fund, right? I mean, that's who you're investing in. So short-term, the answer, and I think you know where I'm going to go, is Ole Miss.
Yeah.
But
I wondered if Oklahoma, given that you have a little bit more intel on that program, as they're moving to the SEC, which would increase value. But, I mean, I guess they would go to the West and Ole Miss would be there waiting. Like, who's the better team at that point when Oklahoma arrives at the SEC? It might be Ole Miss as the better football team.
Feels like the final score would be 63-56, but, who knows? I mean, I at this point, then again, if you think about who Oklahoma hired, Brent Venables was right to take that job for the head coaching opportunity and the money that he's going to make and the prestige of the program. I just think he's taken over at the wrong time, man. This is going to be a tough go for them, and they lost a boatload of that offensive talent. So this is going to be a tough first year, and you know how hard it is if you have a tough first year and the perception is that program is not elite anymore, to try to get people convinced otherwise in the next 2 years. That's the window. That's what we're scared of with our coach, with Mike Norvell, is that he got saddled with a lot of bad luck and a lot of weird circumstances, and now you just wonder, even if you think he's a great coach, can he get out from under this mountain of debt, if you will, right? Like now this is really frustrating. I don't know. Can he? And I think Venables is going to be in a similar situation, not as unhealthy as Florida State's situation, but with college football changing, them going into the SEC and the drop-off that's going to hit them initially, and it's going to happen this year, that's not going to be a great team. Luckily, they don't play in a great conference. But that's going to be a situation where people are going to see that drop-off, and it takes a while to transition anytime there's change. So that will be kind of fascinating. Chef Cameron Show 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV.
Experienced, reliable professionals who offer only the best, like Widden's top-of-the-line bath enclosures. Eye-catching storefronts are a specialty at Widden Glass, and they provide precise installation.
Widden Glass, Tallahassee's first family in glass. Online at widdenglass.com. Call 850-222-5781.
Highway 27 Grill and Barbecue just north of Havana has become your destination for the best food either side of the state line. But what if you want fresh seafood? Say no more. Kenny and the crew have got you covered with seafood so fresh, the only way you'll get it fresher if you grow a set of gills. Highway 27 Grill and Barbecue, 1 mile north of the last light in Havana. Highway 27 Grill and Barbecue. Open 7 days a week. Get your fill at the grill.
Refreshing and simple. 2 words you don't hear many people use to describe their experience going through the process of getting a home loan. That's what puts the Hamilton Home Loans experience in a category all their own. If you're buying or refinancing a home, Hamilton Home Loans will provide a personalized mortgage experience that is dedicated to making the process refreshingly simple. It all begins with an initial consultation with an experienced Hamilton Home Loans advisor to find out what your goals are in order to find the right mortgage to suit your specific needs. Then, your personal home loan advisor will take you through all the steps from application, underwriting, approval, and closing, all the way to the front steps of your new home. Once you've experienced the Hamilton Home Loan process, you can be a customer for life and never have to pay lender fees again. For first responders, nurses, physician assistants, teachers, active and retired military, ask about the Hamilton for Heroes program. Personalized attention with your needs put first. Now that's refreshingly simple. Find out more at HamiltonHomeLoans.com. That's HamiltonHomeLoans.com.
Equal housing lender. NMLS number 200719.
Hi, my name is Shannon Pash, and I'm the principal at Red Hills Academy. We will provide a challenging, rigorous curriculum. We will also work with our students to teach them how to set goals and then how to work to reach those goals. Red Hills Academy will offer the Spanish language every day. Relationships are really important to us, not just with our students, but with our families and the community. This benefits parents and students alike because parents get that involvement within the school. Easily apply online today at redhillsacademy.com.
You were always more than my mom. You were my role model, my best friend, and biggest supporter. You filled my days with unconditional love. And you also prepared for the day when you couldn't be here. Because of the woman you were back then, I'm able to be the woman I am now. Your planning made this moment possible.
Set your family up for life. Southern Farm Bureau Life Insurance. Your friends for life.
This is Andy Cohen. When I was a law enforcement officer, I devoted my life to a career of service and protection. Who's protecting you? Give me a call. 850-671-FARM. That's 671-FARM. Helping you is what we do best.
Southern Farm Bureau Life Insurance Company, Jackson, Mississippi. Not licensed to do business in all 50 states.
We all want more energy, more strength, more results. Well, welcome to Orange Theory Fitness as you take a step towards feeling more alive today. Backed by science, Orange Theory's heart rate monitored workout is scientifically designed to keep heart rates in a target zone, spiking metabolism and increasing energy. Orange Theory Fitness is a one-of-a-kind group personal training workout, resulting in more energy, visible toning, and extra calorie burn for up to 36 hours. Experience a more vibrant life today with Orange Theory Fitness. To find out more, go to orangetheoryfitness.com. Libations Friday, so I feel comfortable enough on 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV, to bring this next story up. It is a story. It does involve college football. It's not. I can tell Tom will recoil when he hears me introduce something like this. But you know, for years in this business, whenever we had a conversation about what Florida State was doing, by way of comparison to say Florida or Miami, it would be a round robin of slinging dirt. And I remember one day I got so fed up. I was like, oh, why do we do this? Why, this is so childish. Your team is filled with criminals. My team is filled with criminals. No, your team is filled with criminals. That was always the talking point. Like, we do it the right way. You do it the wrong way. Our guys have committed fewer crimes than your guys, and you know, whatever it might be, right? And at some point, like, it would always be cyclical. Like, you'd be on your high and mighty. You'd be on your high horse. You'd be talking down. And I try to talk down to Miami as much as possible, but we would all do this, right? And then, lo and behold, you'd wake up one day and you'd be startled by the headline and you'd go, or once I broke into the business, frankly, I'd get a phone call from somebody and they'd be like, did you hear about so-and-so last night? Oh, Jesus.
No. What happened? Nobody's dead? No, nobody's dead. Punches. Okay. Boy or a girl. You know, like you would go through the whole process. Like what you were really doing was a process of elimination as to whether or not this was survivable. Was said player going to be removed from the team? Because in those days, we had a lot of good players. So any player that got in trouble was really good because we were filled with nothing but good players. And so what would happen is I would lay in the bed, the phone would ring, and my inside source would go, same thing I just said. Did you hear what happened? No. What happened? Such and such. Oh, that's not good. Anybody dead? No? Okay, that's good. That's good. All right, now at this point, I'm gathering myself. I'm thinking about the coffee. Coffee's made. I'm going to get up and get the coffee. All right, now I'm talking. Okay, so nobody's dead. Who is it? Which player? Oh, no, not him. Damn it, man. Is this a reliable source? Did you talk to a cop? Do we know who was there or not? What's going on? And then you would do that again. You'd go through, you'd vet that. Then at that point, you'd find out that is a reliable source. He wouldn't make that up. He's been right every time he's ever talked to me. Oh, son of a gun. What are we going to do? Hey, did anybody see it? Is it on film? Like, this is how low we would stoop because you're just trying to keep your guy eligible. And then you would get into, because back then it was all on the message boards on warchant.com. This was before Twitter. So it was in spots like that the war of words would happen on sports talk radio when people would call in, back when I took calls. And it would be, hey, you've been talking about us for years, and now look at your boy. Look at your boy. And all this, and then I'd have to defend it, and it was all stupid. But invariably, there would be something that you can't come back from. You're like, oh, well, that's it. He's done. You mean we can't sweep that under the rug. And then that team would have it happen. And then another team would have it happen. And then eventually I just stopped doing it. I can still hate without having to compare which crime was worse, which transgression was worse, and at the end of the day, Urban Meyer was going to beat everybody. We didn't know it at the time, but he did. He ended up just having a team full of racists and murderers. It was crazy, as led by Jesus at quarterback. So we had this whole thing happen, right? It was crazy. But I used to like, for a brief time when it was fun to do, having the trump card on the story, meaning that Miami kid that got in trouble and it's confirmed did something so heinous that, like, there's no coming back. Like, I'm not even going to hear from these people today. They know this is as one-sided as it gets. There's no other side to the story. This happened. They're done. That guy's gone. This story, very long-winded way of me doing this for you, would be one of those if this team has a rivalry that anybody's aware of. But I read this headline and I chuckled when I read it. Not because of anything that it's pretty extraordinary. It's awfully sad, but I thought, man, that would be one of those moments. Idaho State assistant coach charged with first-degree murder. You're like, well, that's it. That's the end of
it. Director, why did you cut to me? That's poor timing. Oh, no.
That is the headline.
Your setup, I'm like, what did he do? Did he, kick a kid in a kindergarten? Like, well, he was volunteering, got mad at a kid. First degree murder? Oh my God, you've got to be kidding me.
I thought it was the best headline I've read in ages. Idaho State assistant coach charged with first-degree murder, placed on administrative leave.
You think? You think he's on administrative leave?
What do we do? Oh, man. Wait, Coach Johnson's been charged with murder? He has? Yes. They arrested him last night on murder charges. That's it. Like, whoever the fierce rival for Idaho State is got up this morning, we're like, we win. It's over. That's it. Those sons of bitches, those vandals aren't calling it. So here's how the rest of the story reads. Idaho State has placed Devontae Neal on administrative leave, initiated proceedings to terminate his contract after the defensive backs coach was arrested and charged with murder. Apparently, it occurred somewhere back in 2017. He's got other charges forthcoming, including a Class 2 felony and a couple of others. It's not good. It reads as you might think it reads. They had run, now for the school's part, they said, because they were asked, as one figures they would be, did you do a background check on some of these other things? Like, there's some things here that aren't good. And they said, we did. It came back clean. We don't know what happened. That's what they're sticking by. Came back clean. There was nothing there. And yet, when you read the story, I don't know how that's possible. If you go through this, it says that he had been arrested in Arizona, that he had issues. He was awaiting extradition back to Arizona. He was involved possibly in a drive-by shooting. He was arrested without incident at that time. So I don't know how they missed it. Seems like that would be public information. Seems like that'd be something you'd figure out. But I just think the real joke here is in the old days of sports talk radio and trying to one-up your rival and then reading that headline. That headline wins it all right there. Assistant coach charged with murder. We run a better program than you. We don't. Our assistant coaches aren't murderers. That's the end of the argument. That's it. You win. That's just nothing to add to it. It's a fun topic. I would say, just for fun, because I have friends out there at ISF, and you don't want to be associated with that. And you're saying to yourself, what are we doing? Jonathan Conrad's like, how the hell is ISF being mentioned here? Well, it would be very easy, obviously, to solve for the future at Iowa at Idaho State, guys. It's very easy to solve for the future. Brought to you by ISF of Tallahassee. For 40 years, ISF combining your vision, their expertise. See ISF's capabilities today at ISF.com. I think we know what we got to do there, guys. I think we know what we got to do there. We got to have to let him go.
We got to put him away. Yeah, that's the problem here. You know, there are times, and we've all had this moment. The one for me is a substitute teacher in high school. And you sit down at a cafeteria table, or you're in a car with your buddy, and your buddy breaks the silence, and he says something that you've been thinking, but you don't want to let anybody else know what you're thinking. I'm pretty sure Mr. Smith has killed somebody. I'm pretty sure. You know, like you're sitting at a table. Like, Yep. Thank you. Somebody had to say it.
I've been wondering about it.
That dude did 2 tours. He's killed a man, and it might have been domestic. It might have been stateside. That dude.
It may not have been in the course of battle. He may have just killed somebody, like a neighbor.
Right. So what makes me laugh, because that's all you can do in a crazy situation like that, is I'm sure he had players underneath him at Idaho State or wherever at some point. Like, you think he's killed somebody? That dude is like, he's
hard as nails.
When he gets,
I don't ever talk back to him.
When he corrects you in a meeting, he's got a different look, man. There's something wrong there. There's something wrong with him. I'm pretty sure that dude has killed a man. And then today or yesterday, whenever it leaked locally to them, they're like, Jimmy, you called it.
You nailed it. You've been on this since day one.
Yep.
When we were running those gassers.
Oh,
you said that there was just a different sound in his voice that bothered you. You got it.
And you know it. And this has nothing to do with a political figure, because it's not a political figure. But there is one crime I've asserted that somebody has there's no evidence. If it ever happens, we're doing an emergency show. I don't care if we're working in a different industry. We're doing an emergency show that day.
Yeah, you predicted it, and you've gone on record with me that you feel that way. So I will vouch for you when the day comes. In fact, I'll wake up and I'll do what I said I just did. I'll look at my phone for the news and I'll go, oh my God. I'll call you.
He called that in 2013. Oh my God.
This is nuts. I'm calling Tom, wake up. This is amazing, dude. I just pulled up my phone at 5:30. It happened. He's been charged. You'll know when your phone rings the first time and you let it go through, and then it rings again. You're like, okay, I better get this. So Cameron would not be calling me at 5:30 twice. And you're going to wake up and you're like, what's wrong? Nothing. You got it right, dude. Go look at your phone. It's the Jeff Cameron Show, 93.3 Real Talk Radio and Warchant TV.
Budget's many provisions is a raise for all state employees, increases in teacher salaries, and funding to boost the minimum wage for state workers to $15. The state has also set aside money to provide for up to $5,000 signing bonuses for newer out-of-state law enforcement officers. Current officers will receive a 5% pay raise or have their salary increased to $50,000. The state will suspend sales tax on diapers and baby clothes for the 22-23 fiscal year and create a 2-week tax holiday on clothing, shoes, and school supplies between July 25th to August 7th, amongst other provisions. Tallahassee police responded to a shooting Wednesday evening at the Oakwood Reserve Apartments on Mission Road. The victim was inside his car in a parking space, and another vehicle pulled up and shot at his car. The suspect fled before officers arrived. The victim was unable to provide police with more information. This remains an open and active investigation. This is Rachel Lene with your Real Talk 90.3 Local News Update, brought to you by Macklemore Systems, Tallahassee's go-to Mac store. Check them out online at MaclemoreSystems.com.
This is meteorologist Paul Trombley with your Real Talk 93.3 weather update. A mix of clouds and sun this afternoon with a chance for isolated thunderstorms. Highs around 94, south winds around 5 miles per hour. Chance for isolated storms again tonight. Lows around 71, partly cloudy skies. Chance for scattered thunderstorms tomorrow. High temperatures reach up to 92. Sunshine mixed with clouds at times. This report is brought to you by the Lawn Johns. For all your landscaping and lawn care needs, visit thelawnjohns.com. Right now, 94.
This is Dr. James Ryan Finn from Finn Chiropractic. In today's world, people are just stressed out. That could be causing subluxation of your spine. These misaligned vertebrae put pressure on the nerves, and they shut your body down, and it stops it from healing. So if you or a loved one are suffering from a condition with pain in your muscles, your tendons, or your joints, reach out to us at finnchiro.com and take advantage of our new patient special offer. That's FENNCHIRO.com, because your chiropractor loves you, and there's nothing you can do about it.
Well. Hey, Jeff, look at this place. Yeah, well, doing well. It's been a while since I've seen you, brother, but, it hasn't been a while since I've been over to Gordo's. I go there on the regular because of you, Eddie. Well, we keep you regular. Well, that's true, but I think of Gordo's as a place to sit down, have a cold beer, talk to your friends, enjoy the sports, eat the delicious food. But I think of you as Uncle Eddie, a man who takes care of his people and takes care of the town. I appreciate that, Jeff. Hey, and we'll keep you regular. Gordo's, bringing the flavor and flair of Cuban food to Tallahassee since 1996.
T-Spark Enterprises, roofing and construction services. T-SparkConstruction.com. We conquer all peaks. We fix those darn leaks. Call 850-766-1340. T-Spark Enterprises, roofing and construction services. T-Spark. TSparkConstruction.com.
License number CCC 1331204.
The Jeff Cameron Show is a production of the Warchant.com Multimedia Network.
Put it up on a loosey-goosey Libations Friday edition of the program. I think that last segment constitutes a lot of fun with the loosey-goosey Libations Friday. Celebrating an assistant coach being charged with murder harkens me back to the old days of the Jeff Cameron Show, where those sorts of things were celebrated, and we didn't really have to have caveats because people didn't always take everything so literal, nor were they offended so easily. But anyhow, that's why it felt that way. Now, here we sit. And momentarily, I'll get to probables, but I do want to ask you a question for everybody out there. And again, this is pre-recorded, so I'll have to go back and look and see if anybody does comment on this. Phil Knight's going to buy Portland. It looks like he has proposed, anyhow, that he would be willing. Nike's Phil Knight, that is. He's put an offer forward, $2 billion to buy the Portland Trailblazers. And he's aggressively efforting to acquire them. I do think this is a little bit akin to what we just talked about. Stocks. Can you win in Portland? Like, I get he's got more money than God. Can you win big in Portland? Can you get everybody to want to go out and play in Portland? The answer so far has been a resounding no. They had that wonderful run. Kevin Duckworth and Terry Porter and Clyde Drexler and others, and those teams were a lot of fun back in the day. Loved them. They haven't done much of anything since, and it doesn't feel like they ever will. They kind of feel like one of the teams, Tom, when we had the bigger discussion about contraction. Remember us? We were talking about contraction in the NBA, I think it was. You and I were talking about this very subject. We were like, I want to get rid of the Minnesota Timberwolves. I remember that. We talked about them. There was a few others we threw in there. I don't think that way anymore. Ever since then, Milwaukee Bucks have won the NBA's world title. The Toronto Raptors won the title. So now you feel like you can't contract anybody, because if those two franchises could win it in relative short order, well, then hell. I mean, and by the way, for most of my adult life, the team that's most dominant in the West right now, Golden State, was non-existent. Nobody ever talked about Golden State. They were useless. And now 6 times in the last 8 years, they've been in the finals. So, things do change. They do. They change. I get it. So maybe I wouldn't contract anybody anymore, although it doesn't feel like the New Orleans Pelicans are ever going to make it. But that said, Portland? I'd think about contracting them.
Yeah.
Not buying them.
So I think what's going on here with Phil Knight is a couple of things. He wants to keep them local. There's been talk about them moving. You have to keep Portland just for those uniforms. They're fantastic.
Yes.
Like, if I was the Carolina Hurricanes, I never would have called my team the Hurricanes. First of all, it's weird. You're living in Carolina. Hurricanes wipe your people out all the time. Like, why would you name them after something that kills you left and right? But secondly, don't try that logo. Portland's already done it better. They have a pseudo hurricane-looking logo. You're never going to top that. You can win in Portland. You just got to get that first guy there, and you have to pay him ridiculous amounts of money. Because here's the thing. If Phil Knight, and this might open up a can of worms for tampering, but if Phil Knight owns a basketball team and he could pay you the maximum, right, allowable under the CBA to go get a superstar, well, do you think they're going to get a Nike deal? And do you think that Nike deal is going to be absurd? Like, that's something that they'll probably have to look at if he ever completes the sale, or completes the purchase, I should say, is you're not only paying a player under the NBA CBA, you're giving them an endorsement. It's kind of like NIL almost. You're giving them this extra cash. Phil will bring the cash. And the other thing I'd say is, I mean, look at when the Clippers sold and their value had plummeted because they had the racist owner that was caught on tape. Remember, he had the lady of the night. He had all the tapes on that guy. I forget his name. I think he's since passed. But they still sold for well over $1 billion. These are good investments. Professional teams are good investments. Don't ever let an NBA owner or an MLB owner tell you that they're losing money hand over fist, because that might be right on the balance sheet in the immediate term. But if they turn around and sell that franchise 10 years from now, they're going to make a mint on it. So I think it's a smart move across the board.
Well, they're already paying Damian Lillard $39 million. They're paying him as much as you can pay a player, and he is a superstar, and they still can't attract anybody. I don't disagree with you. They have the guy, and they have the most loyal of guys, and he's really good. It's just they haven't been able to get anybody else to say yes. But it's also hard. Lots of teams fail. It's not an exact science. A lot of these kids that come out, you're like, I don't know. It's
the other thing I'd say is, again, when you ask the question, can you win in Portland? I'm not thinking about even the end of Damian Lillard's current contract. It's in the next 10 or 20 years. Absolutely. If the Milwaukee Bucks can keep Giannis and be a contender on top of being an NBA champion, absolutely. Toronto, that was more of a rental, but they're not a terrible basketball team. So, if those two markets can win, certainly Portland can. It's just a matter of, if you're looking at it in a 5-year window, kind of like we did at the beginning of the hour with college football programs, hell no. They got no chance. No chance. Less than zero chance. But if you look at it in a 10 to 20-year window, when you got Phil Knight backing that enterprise, abso-freaking-lutely, they've got a chance.
And if I'm being really fair, I should just come here to our own backyard within the state and ask the question, can the Orlando Magic ever win? I mean, and they're not that far away from those Hedo Turkoglu teams that went to the finals, lest everybody forgets. By the way, I'm proud of myself for pulling that out. But yeah, I mean, those were good teams. Remember, those were good teams and got to the finals. But people forget about that team, by the way. I've wanted them to be good for a long time, and they feel like they're just in quicksand.
Yeah, sorry,
every year. And then our man Jonathan Isaac went nuts.
Yep, that happened.
So he went cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, and he's always hurt, so he's useless to him. That's a bust.
Yeah, well, it's unlucky. The basis of the bust is unlucky there. You'd like to take a chance anytime on a 19-year-old who has those measurables, and somebody who could, do things multiple ways. We talked about it on yesterday's program with John Butler. Like, okay, good luck to you. Yeah. What did he do other than shoot? Like with Isaac, there are answers. There were actual answers to that question. With Butler, you're going to have to wait a few years to see if
you're waiting a good long while. I do think that I never give up on a shot like that, but you're right. Let's do probables. Here we go. Cue the music, Matthew.
It's time for, how you say, with the pitching, probables?
Cardinals, Cubs, Miles Mikolas and Marcus Stroman, Nats, Reds, Josiah Gray and Mike Minor. We got the Giants and the Marlins. That is Alex Cobbs and Elcier Hernandez. Never gets old saying that name. Guardians, Orioles, Shane Bieber and Bruce Zimmerman. D-backs and Buccos by Pirates. Fresh off that sweep, flew back across the country to Pittsburgh. Probably not a packed house for D-backs Pirates, but they deserve it at least for this weekend, guys, if you're in the Pittsburgh area listening to me. That would be Merrill Kelly and JT Brubaker. JT Brubaker yet to win a game this year. Angels, Phillies, that'd be Chase Silseth. His name is also fun to say, Chase Silseth. Phillies still trying to figure it out. Imagine if in your career as an announcer, you have really worked awfully hard to fight your lisp, and then you get the probable sheet, and it's Chase Silseth that's on the hill. You'd think, you son of a bitch. That is an awful thing. All right, here we go.
Wait, I'd say if you're the home announcer, then you'd say, what's his nickname? Is it Silsey? Because I'm just going to call him Silsey.
Maybe it'll flow right into my lisp. He's just Silsey.
Or it could be Chaser. You know, Chase Silsey. We'll call him Chaser.
Chaser on the hill tonight. You know, Roger never says his last name. It's always Chaser.
One of the drawbacks of not being in the same studio is I know you've got your webpage pulled up, but I have to I have to add one thing. Yes?
Oh, man, I blew it. You're right. Miles Mikolas. I want to go back to that. Sorry about that. Here you go really quickly. Cards, Cubs. Miles Mikolas. Miles Mikolas.
Can you give me BS?
And Marcus Stroman. By the way, in that Reds game, Mike Minor is making his first start of the year. I didn't know he was done. Phillies don't know what they're going to do against the Silseth character. Tigers, Yankees, Elvin Rodriguez, Garrett Cole going for the Yankees. Twins, Blue Jays, Chichi Gonzalez, and Yusei Kikuchi. White Sox, Rays, Vince Velasquez and Shane McClanahan. Mariners, Rangers, Logan Gilbert, Dane Dunning. Good card today, guys. Astros, Royals, Jose Urquidy and Brady Singer. We got the Padres and the Brewers, Joe Musgrove, Corbin Burns. You know, it really eats at me. I'm not going to lie to you guys. Joe Musgrove is 5-0 with a 1.86 ERA. You got to be effing kidding me with this. Oh, man. Corbin Burns going for the Brewers. The best two pitchers in baseball, I guess, are going against one another in that game. The Braves, Rockies, Max Fried and Chad Kuhl, who's also, unfortunately, having a fine season for the Rockies. Red Sox, A's, Nathan Eovaldi, James Kaprielian. I think I screw his name up every time. I don't like your name, sir. And finally, Mets, Dodgers. That is Chris Bassett getting the pill for the Mets and Tyler Anderson going for the Dodgers. And that, my friends, would be a look at those that shall reside on the bone. Exhale. Fun card today. Fun. That's a good card.
Yeah, I think the most bland player on that card is the Mets pitcher, Chris Bassett. A very boring guy to watch, but effective.
I've never seen Chris Bassett pitch. What's his stuff? What's his repertoire?
Lower 90s. It's got cutting action. He'll pitch to contact. In fact, they say he's got like 8 pitches because he's got 4 different varieties of all this stuff, and he takes a minute on the mound, even when the bases are clear. If we re-sign him, he's got an opt-out, so we can re-sign him in the offseason. He will be somebody that is deeply affected by the pitch clock. That's how I feel about his pace of play.
Here's what I just heard. I heard a phrase that I recoil at when it's used to describe Pirate pitchers because it's always used to describe Pirate pitchers. All of them, except for David Bednar, who is a beast. Every time they describe a Pirate pitcher, they say, "Oh, pitch to contact guy." Oh, boy. Okay. Pitch to contact guy is code for he sucks. It's just almost every time they say he's a pitch to contact guy. I'm like, okay.
But here's the thing about Bassett. If you look at the sticky tack as a line of delineation, he's one of the 2 or 3 best pitchers in baseball since they started out on that stuff. So the dude's for real. It's just that, he's not inspiring when you watch him. You're like, all right, Bassett's throwing. All right, solid.
He's the outlier. He's the outlier. Hey, really quick, just so I can give this answer to my kids, and I hate looking at the internet for answers because I rail against the internet all the time, and then I turn around and look at it for answers, and I have to do so privately or else my kids will get on me because the second they see me look at my phone, they go, what are you doing? Why are you on your phone? So anyhow, because they get tired of me saying it all the time to them. So really, really quickly, who was the Marlins pitcher that had 6 fingers?
Antonio Alfonseca.
Yes. 6 good job, Tom Lang.
Is that right though?
I don't know. It felt right. Yes, Director Matthews says it is. And if Director Matthews says it is, it is. That's the way. Stop looking it up.
Yeah, that's correct. He sure did. All right. I feel good. I was going to say the solution to that with your sons is just to choose your own facts. I choose my own facts all the time.
Antonio Alfonseca with the 6 fingers. I hope he's doing well. Good work out of you, Tom Lang. Good work, Director Matthew. Have a great weekend, everybody. I don't know this to be true. Noles lead 9-1 if you're just tuning in. All right, be good, everybody. Have a great weekend. Talk to you later. Bye. Peace.
Choose your own facts.